Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to iRacing. And no, we are not in the Mazda MX-5. We've actually gone and bought ourselves a car. And it's the Skip Barber. And yes, it's a single-seater little race car, as you can see from the cars around me. Qualified in 12th position around Oulton Park. Let's see how this goes. Now, I haven't done too many laps of practice before this race. Perhaps I should have done more. But for me, I like racing. I think for me that's the best form of practice. So I'm going to try to play it safe as I can and just try to get through and learn as much as possible of this track and of this car. Obviously I have driven it around a few tracks for a few laps, so I'm not going in completely blind. Now we're coming up to a very fast left here, quite a tricky one. Taking in 4th gear, not quite flat out though. And then into the hairpin, turn number 5. Plenty of camber to help you around this one. And still guys up ahead, side by side. And then coming out of this turn, I think this is where my assists are hampering me a little bit. As you can see, this guy next to me just goes flying past. So I do have the auto clutch on at the moment. So I'm still fairly new to Sims on the whole. So it's not like I can just instantly adapt to all these new techniques with the brakes and stuff and the shifting. Bits of contact through the chicane, but everyone gets through just about okay. It's always going to be like that on lap 1. It's always going to be very close. I mean, these cars you can race them very close indeed, and there's a very special kind of aspect to racing these cars in that there's the element of drafting, which is really strong and is really evident in these cars. If you're within, let's say, about 0.6, 0.5 of a second of the guy in front, you really will get pulled along. So even if you're a little bit slower, you can kind of get pulled along by someone who's faster than you and keep up with the pack. So it makes for very close racing indeed. So sometimes it can be very hard to break away from someone, even if they're slower than you. As long as they can stick somewhat close to you, then you're going to pull them along with you. So that's lap number 1 done. We are on lap number 2 of 13. Now, just almost running too wide there. I was struggling. This is actually my second race around this track. So, again, not going in completely blind. But I was struggling in the first race with track limits. I was running wide constantly. You're allowed 17 X's, basically. If you run wide once, you get 1 X. If you smash someone off, you get 4. If you make contact, you get a certain amount of X's, depending on the severity of what you do. A bit of uncertainty going into the hairpin, but in the last race I got 15 X's. I mean, if you get 17, you're out of the race. So I got very close to actually being kicked out completely. So this one we're going to try to keep it a bit more clean and tidy. We don't want to risk going out of the race, of course. So coming down into turn number 10, the chicane, fairly tricky, down into 2nd gear. Not quite being brave enough with the tyre balls on the inside there. Need to get a lot closer there. A couple of attempts missing from that chicane section at least. So time to be gained for sure. I know where to gain it. It's just a matter of doing it. It's always easier said than done, I guess. And the guy ahead is just starting to pull away. This is a really tricky corner. Druid's corner, turn 15 on the track. Double apex. And you can see that I'm a little bit wide on the 2nd apex. Very tricky corner to get right. That's the one I was having trouble with most consistently getting that one wrong. A really tough corner indeed. We're going to round out turn 16, Lodge corner, and again you can see they're going a little bit wide. That's the first X of the race though, so not too bad. 2 laps done, and you can see I'm just losing touch with the guys ahead. Not too disastrous yet. We haven't spun out, we haven't lost it completely, so we're going to skip ahead. Lap number 7, you can see, so 5 laps later, or 4 laps later, it hasn't really changed too much. And I've realised that coming into the braking section into the chicane here, I was actually quite a lot better than the 2 guys ahead. So perhaps on the brakes, that is a strength I do have over the guys ahead, it seems. So if I can get within range to go for a move, then it's possibly on, obviously depending on the corner and exactly how close I get to the guy in front. And of course whether or not he goes defensive, so if he's going to force me to the inside too narrow an angle, I'm not going to go for a silly lunge into a too small a gap. But we shall see how this one develops. So it's a very close race here between 3 of us. I think the guys up ahead have broken away. I'm currently in 12th place, so I'm pretty much where I started the race. So playing it really safe, to be honest, really not trying to force the issue too much, because actually I did a race at Road American in Skip Barber and I started about 11th, but so many people crashed. I was really off the pace by about a second or a second and a half, and I actually come through to finish in 5th. And it kind of just shows you that if you just stay on the track and don't crash, you will actually beat quite a lot of people. I mean, my iRating, so you have an iRating, it's only about 1600 at the moment, and until you're really above 2,500, 3,000, until you're above that, you're still going to be racing against quite a lot of inexperienced people, like, I mean myself included. So until I'm quite a lot higher, there is a good chance I'll be beating a lot of people who just crash out, get involved in incidents, get involved in crashes and go wide too many times. But as it stands here, 12th position, and we are on lap number 8 of 13, so we are beyond halfway into the race, getting a little bit closer now to that apex there and there, both the right and the left. So getting a little bit braver as the race goes on, and you can see now we're very close to the back of the guy in 11th place now, 0.3 seconds behind, so well within the drafting range, and he's beginning to be dropped by the guy ahead. I think he's had a good lap, the guy 2 spots ahead. The guy immediately ahead has a poor run out of the exit of Druids. This is going to give me an opportunity there. You can see the drafting power pulls me alongside into the final turn, or officially the second to last turn, and up the inside, getting a nice job done there. But he actually pulled out early there to get a better run on the exit. Now he's just alongside me, so I'm going to have to stay to the left hand side, as the spotter says. 5 laps remaining. He is on the inside. I'm going to give him a car width, and I kind of force him narrow and just about give him enough room, but he didn't really want to follow that one through, so conceding the position. I've moved up into 11th place, so 10th place is possible here. He's just got away by about a second and a half, but by no means impossible. And I actually got a poor exit through the turn there, through turn 3 of Cascades. As you can see here, he's going to get a massive run on me. I'm going to again give him the inside line, a car width from the inside, but that's going to give me the inside now for turn 5 of the hairpin, and the camber helping me through here, down into the first gear on the exit, and then immediately up into second. But you see, once again, just like the first lap, I'm going to lose plenty of speed on the straight. So I'm guessing it's either my shifting or the assists, or possibly the fuel setup, because unlike the MX-5s, there are actually changes that you can make to the setup. So in terms of your fuel set, the amount of fuel you put in the car, and some of the geometry setup, so you can change a few things. In the MX-5s that I was doing, it's just pure stock, no changes to be made at all. So I guess it's an entry-level series, and entry-level setup changes available. I mean, there's not too many changes that you can make in this championship, but I guess that's good. I don't want to be forced, to make so many changes, because I don't really know exactly what I'm doing at the moment. So if you do know what you're doing in Skip Barber, then please do give me any tips with regard to how I'm driving, how I should set up the car, anything, because this is really just my learning curve. It's really good actually, because Forza Motorsport, I'm fairly comfortable on that, but this is completely new to me, and I'm just trying to improve as best as I can. So we're going to skip to lap number 12 of 13, 2 laps remaining in the race. So you can see it's remained fairly constant between myself and the 2 guys ahead. So I'm actually up in 10th place now, so 2 guys have actually been involved in incidents and crashed out and gone into the pit lane or whatever. So I've moved up 2 positions. So as you can see, just running a little bit wide, that's 4x now, so not too bad. We actually have someone coming up behind us. So I think one of the guys who had an incident, who was ahead of us, has now dropped just behind. You might be able to just see him in the mirror, a rear view mirror, just coming into the hairpin and just coming out onto the straight once again. So a little bit of a correction to be made on the exit there, and that's not going to be a good run as we go uphill towards the chicane. Just over this crest here, we're going to shift up into 5th gear, and on the way back down, just looking for the 100-meter board. There it is, just braking just before it, down into 2nd gear. The guy up ahead having a poor braking zone there. He wasn't very consistent, as we've seen earlier in the race. A little bit unsure of his exact braking point, it seems, or just for feel on his pedal. So clearly making quite a few mistakes. I was actually a bit better on the brakes than this guy, I think, and it's good news because I mean I've bought the new pedals. I'm not sure if I touched him. I don't think I did make any contact. In fact, it would have come up at the top of the screen if I'd made contact there. We are side by side now, coming into turn number 16. I'm going to force him out to the far left of the track, and that's going to give me the inside line for turn 16, and I'm comfortably through once again, although it's a similar run compared to a couple of laps ago. So now I'm going to cover the inside line. He's going to move to the left hand side this time, so he's got the outside line. He's fully alongside as we go into the first turn, and I'm just going to go in a little bit too hot, massive portion of oversteer, and to be honest I think I did really well just to correct that one and not spin out completely. I'm going to lose a position overall, or 2 positions really, because I was in 9th. So now dropping back down into 11th. So this guy Michael Wolf is just going to jump ahead of me into the top 10. But this is the final lap, so we do have a chance to go for a move. I'm not going to go for anything silly, but if I could just pressure this guy into a mistake, perhaps I can just re-grab that top 10 position. So through the hairpin for the final time. Just going to try to maximise that exit and get into that slipstream. I've had a poor run actually, once again. Just trying to maximise that slipstream, trying to minimise the loss as we come up the hill, shifting into 5th gear, coming down towards the chicane of turn 10, 11 and 12, and braking fairly conservatively. Guy ahead, he's braking way too late, and I've actually gone ahead of him. So I almost made a mistake. Well, I did make a mistake. Fortunately, not quite as bad as the guy ahead. So back up into 10th place, and we only have about a third of a lap remaining. So you can see there, just underneath the mirror, 2.9 seconds nearly down on my best lap. So really not a good lap so far. So plenty of mistakes made. But the key thing is that I did gain that position back. Massive moment on the curb through Druid's corner, and lucky not to completely lose control of the car there. That would have been a massive punch in the face if I had just lost control of the car on the final lap like that. But we are going to come through to finish in 10th place, so not too bad a result. I mean, obviously it can be better, but that is the way it's going to go for this one. 10th place. Actually it was 9th place, I think, just looking at the screen at the bottom there. So overall, not too bad. I mean, playing it's fairly safe, and that's a really good thing in iRacing. You can just play it safe, not push too hard, not attack too much, not put too much risk into the race, and you can actually come out with a decent result. But there we go. I do hope you enjoyed this iRacing video. Do let me know your tips and suggestions for me to improve. Anything is welcome, as well, I'm just a long way off basically, and any help is very much appreciated. But there we go, a quick race for you around Oulton Park in the Skip Barber. I do hope you enjoyed. As always guys, do subscribe if you're new and would like to see more, and hit the like button if you enjoyed, as always, and I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching guys, goodbye.